Wow, it's been a moment. I am recording back to back. This is How I Disappoint My Parents podcast. I am your host, Kayla. And if you made it back, welcome. If this is your first time, get ready. I have a great handful of episodes underneath my belt now. I am about to hit it to number 10. And, well, it only took me a great handful of months and weeks and times that I said that I would post regularly and never got to it. Anywho, I hope you are liking the new art. I changed the thumbnail because at first I thought this podcast would be so much more not serious. I was hoping that it would be like kind of a fun outlet, kind of a spot where I tell stories of how I am a disappointment to my parents without actually being an actual disappointment to my parents. I always thought that it was going to be a way to cope with my unemployment in a sense that I didn't feel like a complete, utter failure. And I have been working on it a lot, especially having this new therapist and really, really going forward in life, I say, because I pretty much lived in the past. And yes, I touch on it sometimes in therapy sessions. And every time I talk about the past and I get really, really upset, and the upset is not necessarily exactly what happened, but more so I feel so horrible and guilty for myself that I had to go through that. Like, for example, I had really emotional and strong panic attacks when I was in ninth grade. And I didn't know what to do with what was going on. And I was, I had been like really loud and in my bedroom, which was on the first floor, to the point where my dad noticed. My dad was probably just in the living room. And he came in and I had this love seat in my bedroom at the time, and he just sat there and asked me what was wrong. And he kept having me try to calm down, take deep breaths, and tell me, try to tell him in words what was happening. And I, well, always loved my dad for being there and helping me through that, helping me through those moments. I just get really sad that I got to that point, that I feel like sometimes I feel like I should have gotten help before that point, because it wasn't out of the blue. I had many, many symptoms of mental health issues before that point, and I know that's obviously how things happen. Something big and important and serious happens, and then something's done about it. I just get sad when looking back. I'm like, I feel like a lot of suffering could be prevented or whatever, which is it's a very sad thing to even reflect on or be even sad about. But that's what I'm grappling with, just when I talk about things and then I'm reminded of probably how I got to that point in my life. I'm just really sad because, and I posted this on the Instagram of how I wish I could go back in time and hug my former self. I just wish I could hug her so tight. Because the feelings that she felt were so much bigger. And she had zilch tools on how to deal with them. And yeah. Yeah. So, stuff like that. Like, I am changing directions. Of course, with the help of the help I am getting. And yeah, as I said, and honestly, I can't remember if I ever did be so upfront and clear about why I named this podcast what I named it. I know I'm probably teased that, oh, you'll find out someday. And I suppose this being almost episode 10, I suppose I can dish out. Uh, Honestly, I kind of already talked about it, but I needed something. I needed something to help me cope with my decisions, with my partner and I's decisions, and how against the norm it is. And I was also looking for something in my interim from where I am right now and all the time it'll take to get to my true innate desires of being a stay-at-home mom on a homestead, just really living up to the potential I know I have to take care of things, at least the emotional, mental capacity, as my arthritis has been, diagnosed, and hopefully it will be managed. But if you don't remember episodes ago, my fear of not being able to take care of homesteading tasks and my fear of having my children end up having to carry the burden, all valid reasons and concerns. Yeah. This was supposed to be my interim. And it still is. I mean, I am still doing it. It is just a lot more serious and everyday than me just trying to be lighthearted and yeah. So that is why this is a long explanation of why I changed the art on the thumbnails. It just has become a lot more serious than I had initially intended it to be. And that's good because that's my reality. I briefly tempted to have this facade, I feel, and so many medical stuff has happened since my first episode being posted, and it has really set a very serious tone, which I am going to embrace. If I want a lighthearted creative outlet, I want to craft. Now, you won't know this because I don't talk about it, but I am adjusting my interim to be more of things I create. And this feels awkward to say because I never identified myself as someone who creates things. I have ideas, and a good amount of times I don't execute them because the few times I had, it didn't turn out that well. I am often reminded of this mug that I had to make in fifth grade. We had to we had to customize them, and I tried to do a 3D puppy face kind of like jumping out of the mug, and I had this whole idea of it being like pretty realistic in a sense, and then um trying to trying to execute it. I mean, it was just very disturbing. I didn't glaze it properly. A lot of prep work, I guess, wasn't very thorough, so my mug was an abomination. And I still think about it because in my head, the vision was just so clear of what it was going to look like, and the execution was so not. It was so not what I wanted or thought of. Yeah. So, this will be the time where I will see I will see what I want to create, imagine, come to reality, and strive to do so. I mean, I am putting it into practice because I had this idea to really decorate my front porch, and I did so. I went and budgeted a little bit, did go a little out of budget, but still, I did pretty good. I bought straw bales, I bought pumpkins, these cute little scarecrow men from the dollar store, and I bought string lights and a skeleton that kind of looks queer, and I think I will name him Gerald. Um, and I had this all in my head of what I wanted it to look like, and I made it come true, and I'm so proud of myself that I made something, even if it's just decorations, I made it come together, and it's adorable. But then I also have that fear that these creative ideas will end up being too, as I put it, lofty. And essentially, what that means to me is that it's a symptom of hypermania. And that's a very difficult determination at times. Is this idea, this creative spark, if this desire, is this attainable? Does this make sense? Will I regret it and be shameful afterwards? And I know these questions seem like they're easy to answer, but when you are in the moment of where the spark just lights up and the really good idea, at least at the time, it's like a full steamboat ahead moment where it's like, this is what it is, this is what you think you'll need. Start Googling, start looking at stores to see if they carry the project or product. Go on Pinterest, see if it's been done before, and if it has, does it have any good idea representation that you could recreate or customize. So, obviously, looking for something in the middle. And I've been growing a little bit more confident that I can make that determination. It just scares me. Like, what if I can't? What if I end up spending $150 on something that I ended up not needing, or it didn't come out nicely, or what came. Yeah. Sorry, I mentally malfunctioned there. Yeah, so I yeah, if that's a goal, I mean, we're coming up on holidays, December. I suppose that would have to be a minimum of taking care of myself, because that's what happened this year. I I don't particularly know that my New Year's resolution for 2025 was taking care of myself, but that's what happened. And I'm thinking that I will be working on of letting go of my inability to adapt and change, so that I can enjoy this interim between what I know will be the hardest but most fulfilling time of my life, and just really, really make things. Not just for others, but for myself, which is mostly what this podcast is for. I mean, I talk as if there is someone listening, or if someone's going to respond, and 8 episodes in, obviously not very reliable posting at all, but that doesn't matter. I keep going, and I plan to keep going. It's just, I am excited for letting myself be myself. And honestly, this gives me some hope, because I just thought about writing again. And obviously, you're not gonna know this, so I'm just gonna say it. I used to want to write, and I had a Wattpad account, and I wrote quote unquote books on there. I wrote many chapters, and honestly, I cannot tell you exactly how long these books were. Honestly, they might have just been short stories. When you are on that app, at least on your phone or your iPad mini, or your iPod Touch, which is mostly where I accessed it, it can be hard to navigate the app or the website. So, what I could think of being a 5 chapter book could simply be a couple chapters, like 2 or 3, and I think it's a whole book series. That was the awkward thing about the past, is how I thought I wrote such hits, because I had this one paranormal werewolf story, supernatural story, if you will, and it got the most reads out of all my books, like 3-4 times the amount, and I was so proud. Although in hindsight, I was kind of like, well, I don't know. Maybe I'm a harsh critic, but I didn't think it was that good. I really thought my other chapters that I wrote outside of that genre was better. Um, readers say other readers say otherwise, I guess. Yeah. So, that's my little spiel of where this podcast is, where it's going, and how we got here. um the holidays will end up being a tricky thing. I sadly felt like planning the holidays was more important than recording. And it was kind of like planning for nothing. I may have mentioned this, but Christmas at the very least is changing for my family in the sense that I have a niece and half of us are moved out with our own, well, we all have our own boyfriends or fiancés, whatever. And so, at least in my case, I'm kind of split for the holidays between my family and his family. So I was like grappling with budgeting and spending and Christmas gifts and kind of preparing myself for where the hell will I be for the holidays, and if my partner has to take off of work for more days than just the day itself for Christmas. So I had a lot on my mind. Too much to focus on anything more in the moment, we can say. I may have talked about proposing a whole Secret Santa idea to my relatives. That didn't go well, and I was told to basically don't worry about it. Basically that I was worrying too much, which it is fair. That is a fair opinion. I just knew things would be different, and I didn't want anybody to be disappointed, and I suppose I was preparing myself to not be disappointed. And by that I mean my sisters that moved out are going to show up when they show up. We may not have Christmas breakfast that we always did have together. There's no stockings. Yeah, the small traditions that my family had will be not the same, which that makes sense. It just sucks. It just sucks. Because now I will never know what to expect until that day. And it is scary. It is scary that Christmas could not be Christmas, or at least what it was and what was enjoyed because of the changing factors of the boyfriends, the fiancés, I mean, my niece. And yeah, I am unprepared for it. So, we will see. I just kind of wish I had this realization a little bit sooner so I didn't consume a lot of my time and energy on. I'm always planning and always planning on what could go down, which is very time consuming, as I pretty much already said. Yeah. I don't really have any more fun things to talk about. I don't think. I have a lot on my to-do, and that's kind of what I've been trying to keep up with is all these to-dos. We hosted a Halloween party, and it was all of his colleagues. He had an internship program last year, and he met these handful group of people, and they've pretty much kept in contact, hung out a couple times since, and they wanted to come together to play board games. So my partner offered our place, and it kind of transformed into a low-key Halloween party, and it was nice. It was nice. I'm not used to having tall adults around, I guess, because two of his friends, definitely around the 6 foot height, they walked in we greeted them, but I was just shocked. I haven't met anyone that tall my age. So, let's say I was scared, uncomfortable. They were very nice. Everyone was very nice. I had a lot of conversation mapping to do. We were dressed up. Um, Again, it was very low key, so no one's pulling out costumes, like out of a package costumes. I was Princess Peach, definitely a fraud. We were posing, and one of the colleagues told me to do a pose from Princess Peach, and I stared and I was like, I don't know. I don't know what that is, what that looks like. They showed me a picture and I just, okay, you stand there, you look pretty, got it. I don't know about pretty, but I can stand there and I can look. Um, yeah, it was pretty cool. I made flatbread pizza. I ended up burning myself on site. Pretty certain 3-degree burns. I got some, what is it called? Blisters. Yeah, I got blisters from that experience. And I may have made a new friend out of this. It seemed like they all liked me, which is always a good thing. But we'll see. We'll see what this interaction blooms into, because it's been a while since I've had a group of friends, which is so sad. Holy crap. I should rename this podcast to My Pity Party. um yeah, so that was interesting. I do encourage you, if you have the means to kind of have a low key pizza party, do it. Yeah. So, socializing and making friends sometimes isn't that bad. I guess that's my PSA. Go out, make friends, and then hopefully afterwards you're not fully overthinking everything you said and what they might be thinking about you, and if they enjoyed the pizza you made, and was the house clean enough? Was there any weird smells or yeah, all that jazz. Anywho, I am going to wrap this up because, yeah, I haven't ate and I need to eat. So, TMI, I know. Alright, this was yet another episode of How I Disappoint My Parents podcast. Find us on Instagram at HIDMP_. Let me know what you think I should talk about. And that's about it.